Hello and welcome. I'm back. I can hear my millions of subscribers going, back? Where did he go? He didn't go anywhere. I just took a bit of a break for all the 17 people who listen to this. You have to laugh, you know. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Okay, so this is about my just some thoughts on Steve Jobs, really, in relation to the out there wacky stuff. It is interesting that, 20, 30 years ago, what Steve Jobs was trying to do would have been considered totally wacky, out there, never going to happen. The idea of a little device in your pocket, in your hand, that you could see someone and communicate with someone around the world, or do, all the things that we can now do with an iPhone or a smartphone, was unforeseen and was wacky. Was out there, and there wasn't a lot of people who would have believed in that or been open to those kind of ideas. From another perspective, there is a school of thought that would say, no, that's completely possible without the device. Telekinesis, teleportation, remote communication, remote view. There are a lot of things, that the mind is capable of, that we have been kind of dumbed down, obviously, to kind of, through the likes of, without going down this road of kind of atheism, to kind of think, oh, you evolved from swamp. We're back to the swamp, Jesus. You evolved from Trump's swamp. It's hard to say that. You evolved from Trump's swamp. You evolved from swamp mud. So how could you be able to communicate with someone on the other side of the world? That's just wacky. Well, anyway, Steve Jobs would have had the idea, which he would have learned through Eastern religions and philosophies, because, like the Matrix, none of this stuff is new. It's new to us in the West because we're not really aware of Eastern philosophies, religions, and so on. So we kind of, we watch the Matrix, or we see an iPhone, we think, wow, he just pulled this out of thin air, this whole idea. Well, he didn't really. It's the idea of putting it into a box and charging it up. Perhaps he did, but these abilities have been around for a long time and have been discussed for a long time. And what I find interesting is that of the school of thought that would worship Steve Jobs and what he's achieved, many would ridicule his belief system, and if they knew it, if they were aware of it, and if they sat down to have a conversation with them, I think they'd be probably horrified. I think they'd be shocked. So, we'll willingly walk around with the iPhone and talk on Skype and Twitter and Facebook and all the rest of it. But if you look at the mind that this came from, this is a man who, went to India, went to ashrams, meditated regularly, explored the mind, supposedly yearly for many years, read the autobiography of a yogi by Yogananda, and that's a fascinating book. He also had stipulated in his will that any attendee of his funeral be given a copy of it. For a man who ran a, say, computer company, this book is out there and talks a lot about, there's many examples, and they're not fantasy, it's not science fiction. This is an autobiography of one man, and he talks a lot about his own guru and students and so on, his own experiences of telekinesis, teleportation, remote healing, leaving the body, being in two places at once, basically transcending the body, being beyond the limitations of the third dimension and beyond the limitations of the human body. Now, I've had my own experiences with, say, remote viewing or seeing the future. I talked before in another video and in a blog article, I'll put a link below, about being able to see the numbers on a roulette wheel before they hit. 8 out of 10. And then being able to choose the number and choose what number will hit. So it makes you question reality, and it makes you question, well, what is time? And what is all this physical? So Jobs was immersed in that, and did an awful lot of groundwork and legwork, which he then took that information and wisdom and knowledge to develop Apple and to drive it in that direction, a direction he knew which was possible. that's really all I have to say. I find that paradox interesting between a world that would worship this man and, worship his and love his products, but then not have much time for or awareness of the great mind, and the even greater still, he's standing on the shoulders of giants. So the people he read, the people he studied, and the exercises he did, many just we want the iPhone. Do you know where it came from? Do you know what this man's abilities were? Do you know what this man studied? Do you know what his exercises were? I'm not interested in that. I want an iPhone, Do you want to be able to transcend the human body? No, I can buy an iPhone. Anyway, enjoy your day. Please subscribe, give it an old thumbs up, maybe comment, and sure, there'll be more stuff I'll be talking about, as time goes on.